Okay, this is the 2016 official AP Calculus practice exam. It looks like this. It's on page 52 if you're not sure where we're at. And we're going to do number 5, and I think number 5 is an excellent practice problem for the 2020 test. So it gives you a piecewise function, and it asks some questions based on that piecewise function. The first one, part A, says, is f continuous at x equals 0? All right, so what you have to do to test whether it's continuous or not is take the limit as x approaches 0 from the left, and then take the limit as x approaches 0 from the right. So from the left would be this function, because x is less than 0. And from the right, it would be this function. If they're equal, then it is continuous. All right, so the limit as x approaches 0 from the left of 3x squared plus 2x, plug 0 in, you get 0. The limit as x approaches 0 from the right of e to the 2x plus 2, we're going to plug that 0 in, you'll get e to the 0 plus 2. E to the 0 is 1, so that's 3. So the answer is no, or not continuous, because, and you've explained it all up here. We've explained it by putting that there. 0 does not equal 3. Okay, so you took the limit from each side, 0 to not, so it is not continuous. All right, that is from chapter 1, so absolutely fair game on the 2020 test. Okay, I'm going to erase this. Part B says find f prime of -2 and f prime of 3. Okay, so f prime of -2, so we're going to use the top equation. So that's going to be 6x plus 2, right? The derivative of the top. So that would be 6 times -2 plus 2, which is -12 plus 2, -10. Man, I hope they give one like this, right? F prime of 3 would be 2e to the 2x, be the derivative of the bottom equation, since 3 is greater than 0. The 2, of course, goes away. And so that's going to be 2e to the 6th. And there you go. All right, part C says explain why f prime of 0 does not exist. Well, f prime of 0 does not exist because, and I want you to write out on the 2020 test. Don't write D and E, right? Does not exist. Write it out. Because f is not continuous at x equals 0. So C, part A. All right, if it's not continuous, then you can't take a derivative at that point. All right, beautiful. Okay, I'll need a little more space to do part D, but so far, this is a great problem. Great because it's easy. Okay, part D. We are defining g of x equals -1 to x of f of t dt. So this is the fundamental theorem of calculus, which we have only been going over since we finished our curriculum and started preparing for the AP test. Okay, so we want to find g of 1. Okay, so g of 1 is equal to -1, and you put the 1 in the upper limit, -1 to 1 of f of t dt. So we've got to divide it in two functions. It's going to be g of 1 is, we integrate -1 to 0 because When x is less than 0, it's the top function, 3x squared plus 2x dx, plus 0 to 1 of e to the 2x plus 2. I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, because when x is greater than 0, so from 0 to 1, it's the second function. And now it's just you got to integrate that. Well, what is the antiderivative of 3x squared? It's x cubed. How about 2x? That'd be plus x squared. And we have to evaluate that from -1 to 0. Plus, all right, what's the antiderivative of e to the 2x? Well, it would be 1/2 e to the 2x. Take the derivative of that to check, right? It'd be e to the 2x times 2, and then times a half out front would make that coefficient go away. And then the antiderivative of 2 is not 0, it's 2x. Don't do that. Don't get in a hurry and do that by accident, from 0 to 1. And now let's plug in. So this would be 0 minus -1 plus 1, because -1 cubed is -1. -1 squared is 1. Plus 1/2 e, if we plug a 1 in here, squared, plus 2 minus 1/2. E to the 0 is just 1, right? So it'd be minus 1/2. And then plus 0. So that -1 plus 1 is 0, so that whole part goes away. Okay, so I'm going to write this answer up here. So that's going to be 1/2 e squared plus 2 minus 1/2. Which, honestly, you could circle that and leave it like that. It's pretty easy, though, to simplify 1/2 e squared plus 3/2. Boom. You're all over that like stink on a monkey's butt. All right, so all parts of number 5 are fair game for the 2020 test. This is an excellent problem. Now, number 6 is not going to be one like that's not going to be on the 2020 test. Let me just read through it and explain why. So pause the video if you need to and finish writing all that down. Okay, it's not on the 2020 test. Let me read through it real quick, Karen. You read along with me and I'll tell you why. It says, a hive contains 3,500 bees at time t equals 0. Between 0 to 4 hours, bees enter the hive at a rate modeled by 16t minus 3t squared, and they leave at a rate minus 2t plus 15. How many bees leave the hive? Okay, so in order to do that, we would have to integrate -2t plus 15 from 0 to 2, and that kind of problem is not on there. We're accumulating something through integration. That kind of problem supposedly is not on there. Part B, write an expression involving one or more integrals for the total number of bees. Okay, we're totaling up. Well, it's not a hard one to do. It's going to be 3,500 bees at the beginning plus 0 to 2 of e to the t minus 0 to 2 of L to the T. Okay, so but again, this is the kind of thing that won't be on there. And then part C says find the minimum number of bees, and integration would be involved there. It's possible something like that could be on there, but it wouldn't be in this form because the first two parts involve integration. So you would have to look at the endpoints and a critical point, but this isn't really a good problem to use to explain that. Okay, so every time we have a free response problem that I don't believe will be on the 2020 test, I at least want to explain to you why it's not going to be on the 2020 test. Okay, so that does it for the 2016 practice test. All my videos from now on will be, all of the videos will be free response videos. No more multiple choice, since the 2020 test is free response only. So I will talk to you next video.